All right, mastery section of 2.2, okay? I say okay a lot. I've been listening to my videos and I go, man, I say okay a lot. I'm gonna try to cut that out just a little bit. Right, let's talk about a couple words here. We're gonna talk about evaluate, okay, and substitute. In algebra, you will see this a lot, all right, especially the evaluate, all right? What you're going to do with evaluate, all it means is that you are given a number for your variable or your letter, okay? Say that again. Now, what this is saying right here, x is equal to 4. So any time that you see an x, that means that it is equal to 4. Now, every time the problem changes, if you're giving a new number equals a new x, then you're going to need to change it, okay? Moving it down. If I did a different problem, let's say like number 2, and I said x equals 3, now you need to understand that x is now equal to 3, okay? Let's see. Now that we know that this x is equal to that 4, I can evaluate, okay? Substitute in this 4 for this x. I can just take it and substitute it in. If you were given an example of substitution, you've all been in school for a while now. You've had a substitute teacher, and that means that some person, most of the time you know who the substitute teacher is, and you guys have your preferences of who they are because they let you do different things. You have a substitute in place of your normal teacher, right? And so substituting in says that you're going to take this 4 and put it in that spot. So it would look something like that. Now you could solve that and so that would be 8. The reason I really wanted to talk about this is because when some people I've noticed have really struggled with the idea of this x and this 4 are now equal to each other, okay? And when they are, we get a little confused of how to use those. Okay? So I wanted to make sure that that was crystal clear. Hopefully it's crystal clear. It's probably muddy, but it's okay. But I wanted to talk about this one right here. This one right here, you'll notice that it has a parentheses, and then it has a negative sign next to the x. This last year was a kind of a real stumbling block for everybody. But I wanted to talk about it early, and I'm going to remind you often of this little thing that they do. What they have done is they've said, yes, this x right here, that is equal to 4. But we're also inputting a negative sign in there. It's very simple. When you see a negative x, you're simply taking the entire thing of this and plugging it in for x still. So it looks something like this. You're not going to change anything unless it's a negative. So like if this 4 was negative already and you plugged it in, then it would be a negative. And some of you guys know the thing of keeps, change. Sometimes that one, but we'll get into that later. But if this negative is here in front of the x, all you do is you take your number that is equal to x and put it in there and just have that negative sign next to it. All right. This will come in this section that we're doing. That's why I wanted to cover it. All right. Let's look at some of these examples for the mastery section. So the only difference between the sections that you've done in the first 2 sections and this one is that now you're going to take the number and substitute it in and then solve or evaluate. Let's look at it. Let me get my thing back up here. All right, and so they said x was equal to 6 for this particular problem. So x was equal to 6. So that means that this x and this x are the same. And that means that that x can be substituted with this 6. So I could just take this right out and put a 6 there. Okay? All right. Now, this looks a little bit more like the developing section. All right? Like the developing section. Hopefully it's fairly simple. Well, I'll walk through it. I would encourage you to pause these videos as we're going. If you feel confident, try it. Okay? In class, for those of you who are going to be coming back to class, coming to class in like week 2, I do have you try the problems before I tell you how to do it. So probably something you need to get used to. So 6 plus 3 is 9. Now I have a negative 7 over here. So I have positive 9 and a negative 7. So that means that I'll be moving my 9 down to 2. So that would be a 9 minus 7, basically. All right, so your answer for this first one is 2 when x equals 6. All right, that was a good one. Let's try the second one. So once again, you are evaluating. So problem is 9.6 plus negative x. Now, pay attention to that. Plus 2.3. And x equals, let's see, what did I put it? The negative 8.5. Okay. I have x here, x here. I have a negative sign there, but we'll show you how to handle this here in a second. Negative 8.5. All right. 9.6, all I'm doing is I'm just substituting this in. Negative, oh, now I have another negative 8.5. Now, what you could do, try not to confuse you too much, but when you plug these in, now it's negative times negative, and so that's something you could do. It's up to you, though. Put parentheses in things that you are plugging in. For this one, it's a negative and negative, so it's actually a positive. Okay? And I can actually change this up just a little bit, because now it's a positive, I don't need the parentheses, and so it's now it's a positive 8.5 plus 2.3. And my 5 looks kind of poopy. So now we're going to add these together. Okay? 18.1 plus 2.3. All right, finish that up. 20.4. All right, hopefully you got that for your answer. That's the correct answer there. All right, so last example. So that was with a negative here and a negative in the x. So that would make it a positive number. So negative here in the x, negative in our number, that would make it look like this. All right, so this would change to a positive number there. All right, let's look at this one more time. One more different type of problem here. So negative 1.7 plus negative 5.4 plus, parenthesis there, negative x, and your x up here was 2.4. Now, x is now a positive number, it's not a negative, so you don't need to bring anything with it. Let's walk through this one. First of all, need to take our x that is equal to this x and substitute in that number. So negative 1.7 plus negative 5.4 plus negative 2.4. Now you'll notice that your number here that was equal to this x is now negative because of that negative. all right? All right, so now you're back to a point where we can just put these together. And we're going to be adding them. Now, all of the signs are the same. Negative, negative, negative. That means that we are going to start out with a negative 1.7, and we're going to continue to go down, so you can add these all together. So you have a negative 1.7. I can go down again, so that would be, let's see, if I did it long way here, you could do this, put those together. You could do, and remember, according to our properties here, you could put these two together first. We talked about that in the first emerging questions. So you could put those ones together first. It doesn't make a difference on how it's going to end up. Let's see, 7.8 and then minus 1.7. Okay, so these numbers put together because they are both negatives. And then for the last one, so we started with the negative 1.7, and I believe that's a negative 9.5 because we're going farther down into the negatives. All right, so that is your mastery section. You're taking numbers and you're substituting them in for your variables. All right, and then you're solving it out. Once again, if you have any questions, please ask. Being able to work with these sometimes are a challenge, but practice these problems a few times, even if it's just watching this video a few times. Try that too. Okay, let's move on to the next section when you're ready.